What's going on, YouTube? So you've got a special woman in your life, whether that's your mom, your girlfriend, or your wife, and you're thinking about getting her a bike because you want to take her along for all the sick rides you've been getting into. Well, I've got a recommendation for you, and this bike just so happens to fall underneath that magic mark of about $1,300 or so US dollars. So what we're looking at here is my wife's 2019 Liv Embolden 2 by Giant. Liv is Giant's women's specific brand of bikes. Now, before we get too detailed, this bike does retail for $1,550 US dollars. However, it is not uncommon for Giant to run specials on this thing. We got it on a spring sale, and I think we scooped it up for $12.49. So just keep an eye out for a good sale, because this is a lot of bike for the money. One of my favorite yet most misunderstood aspects of this bike is the Suntour fork in the front. Now, Suntour tends to have a reputation that isn't the greatest because Suntour forks get used on a lot of inexpensive bikes. Suntour makes that XCT fork that's a coil fork, kind of jars the wrist and doesn't have a whole lot of performance. However, this is the Suntour Axon. It's a completely different fork. It is an air fork. It's got 120 mils of travel, and it has very simple service intervals, and that's one of the things that really turns me on about it. On top of the crown, you have a very simple air chamber and a compression knob that allows you to go to full lockout. Down low, you still have a pretty solid little rebound adjuster, just to dial it in specifically for however the woman in your life likes to ride. Here's a view from the front of the in-house Giant Connect trail bars. They're nice and wide with a 31.8 clamping diameter. They're not super wide because, again, this bike is women specific. My wife tends to love the width. She hasn't requested for me to cut them any narrower, and she thinks that it provides just enough stability to get her on the trails. Much like the front, the rear suspension is brought to us by SR Suntour. Now, this one's a very simple shock. I think it's called the Radon, as you see on the sticker there. It has a rebound adjuster, and that is it. My only complaint about this shock is that it does not have a sag indicator. So it took us a while to get it to that perfect 25–30% sag. Now, Liv did a fantastic job with the seat post. Normally, full suspension bikes in and around that $1,200 to $1,300 range do not include a dropper post. However, this one does. It's not the most advanced dropper post, and the travel is kind of short. I believe that might only be about 100 millimeters, but for the purpose it serves, it has done an excellent job. Another must-have feature in modern mountain biking is hydraulic disc brakes. This bike does feature hydraulic disc brakes front and rear. You have a 180 millimeter in front and a 160 millimeter in rear. One small con that some people may not be into is the fact that this bike uses resin brakes. Resin brakes are known not to perform super well in wet conditions. However, for the purpose that my wife rides this bike, it's been just fine. From the factory, this bicycle is equipped with a 2x9 drivetrain. That was one thing that we did decide to change after a while. As my wife's skills advanced and her preferences became more refined, we did change it out for a 1x11 SLX platform. However, the 2x9 is plenty nice enough to get you going, and it's very easy to change as time moves onward. I'm going to get it on the screen what the bike looks like factory with the 2x9 platform. And now for a woman's perspective, Christine, what do you like about the bike?
So first of all, the geometry makes the bike very easy to ride, very easy to handle. No matter what type of terrain you're on, it's easy to make tight turns. Going uphill is no problem with the dropper. Even if you're just having like a fun Sunday ride, the dropper with even just what some would consider the basics on this bike, it makes a huge difference. It's my first full suspension bike, so I'm just really impressed with the quality and of course the fun colors.
Oh yeah.
Just make it eye-catching.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up today's video. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit that comment section below, and then of course like and subscribe as always. Now, I'm going to shred the backyard on this bike that's way too small for me. Let's roll. Yeah.